Relative pitch is an important skill to have as a musician because I find it helps me to get my ideas from my head into a DAW fast, and it helps to learn songs by ear. And it's something I'm still continuously working on, so I wanted to share a new exercise that I've been doing to help. In my first video on ear training, which I'll link in the description, I talked about intervals, how to learn relative pitch, and I showed the exercises I used when I first started ear training. This video is a follow-up to that one, and so I think if you're new to this and you're new to music theory, then I'd go watch that video first. So I've been working on ear training for a while, and I'm at the point today where I'm pretty good at recognizing intervals by ear. So in this video, I wanted to share a more challenging exercise that I've been working on lately, which is helping me not only reinforce my interval ear training, but it's also helping me get better at knowing which notes are in a particular key and which notes are which scale degree in a particular key. So this is a free app on musictheory.net, which I'll link in the description. And I think I'll just show how this works, and you'll probably get the idea pretty quickly. So you have a reference note, which I have selected as a B flat here. So that's a B flat. And then it gives you a question note. And your job is basically knowing that the reference note is a B flat. Upon hearing the question note, you have to identify what note that is. So in order to answer this right, assuming that you're not a person with perfect pitch, which I do not have, you need to be able to recognize what is the interval between the two notes, between the reference note and the question note, and then knowing what the reference note is, then and knowing what the interval is, then you need to identify what the note is in the question as a question note. So if the reference is a B flat, like it is in this case, and the interval is a ascending fourth, then the note is an E flat. And so like most of the apps on this website, this is highly configurable. So if you go up to this gear here, you can choose which notes are possible question notes, which I have all of them selected. But if you want to limit this to a particular scale or particular mode of a particular scale, you could do so if you wanted to. You can change what your reference note is. So like I periodically change this every once in a while, so to make sure I practice in all keys. And you can change, what the range of possible question notes is. So I usually have it just set to plus or minus 1 octave. I find that for me, that's challenging enough. And, through this, by adjusting the ranges, you could restrict this to ascending intervals or descending intervals only, based on the reference note is, but I like to do both ascending and descending within an octave. And, also, like I think most of the apps on this website, this is completely free and available for anybody to use. So I think I'll demonstrate this by just doing a few challenges. So the reference note is a B flat. And I can recognize that that's a fourth, an ascending fourth. So an ascending fourth from a B flat is an E flat. And I kind of know that from the circle of fifths. And, just by playing triads on a piano and knowing like what the chords are, I kind of know between the root and the fifth, I kind of know what the intervals are in most keys at least. So that's how I was able to answer the first one. This one is an ascending sixth. And this is where, like for intervals like that, this gets to be a lot more challenging for me because I don't normally think, for whatever reason, I don't normally find myself having to think about what the sixth is in a particular key. So in this case, I kind of have to stop and think about it a little bit, at least in some keys. I know like the fifth in a B flat I know is an F, so I know like another whole step up from that is going to be a G, so I know that this is a G. So like the fact that I have to stop and kind of think a little bit, I think makes this challenge for me a lot more difficult than just recognizing the interval. If it was just asking me the interval, I would just answer this like within a second. But for some cases in this exercise, I find like adding the note recognition aspect on top of the interval recognition makes it a lot more challenging, and it makes it it's helping me learn like other skills beyond just interval recognition, which I think I appreciate it, and that's why I'm doing this. So that sounds like a descending minor 7 to me. And this is, one sevenths I usually don't have to think about, but they're either a half or a whole step away from the root. So so they're usually not that difficult. So descending, I think, would be a C. And that sounded like a minor third. So like a minor third up from a B flat is going to be a D flat. So yeah. So I think I'll answer that. And I think that's an octave. And that's a ascending minor 7. So that's going to be an A flat. And, I'm trying to, as I've been trying to do this, I guess one way to answer this, if you know the interval, is to like count the number of semitones away from your root note, and answer it that way. I've been trying to force myself to not do that because I think that just doesn't. It's not helping me learn like intuitively what the scale degrees are and what the notes are in a particular scale. If I do that, like, I think the way it should work. I know a B flat in the major scale in B flat, it has two flats in it. It has a B flat and an E flat, and the minor scale has a B flat minor has I think five flats in it. So like, I guess based on what the intervals are, when you hear an interval that's in a major or minor scale, you should be able to quickly know what the note is based on whether it's a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, or whatever. And then, knowing what the flats are in a particular scale, be able to answer that faster. So like a minor 7 is, a minor 7 is in the minor scale. So that's a scale that has 5 flats in it. So, A flat is one of the flats in keys that have 5 flats in them. So like if it's a seventh in a minor scale, you should be an A flat, I guess. Oh, did I get that wrong? Oh, it's descending. That's one of the things that screws. I get like ascending and descending mixed up in this exercise a lot because then like the answer is different. So that would be a C actually. So I found this to be a good exercise. The other app on this website, which I used in my first video, just focuses on interval recognition. So you just have to like click on what interval it is, and you don't even need to know what the reference note is. I found that to be, I've gotten good enough at that app to where it's kind of gotten a bit boring for me. So I found that this exercise is the right level of challenge for where I'm at as a musician. It's kind of stretching my brain in interesting ways. So like I'm pretty good at recognizing intervals, and in most keys I know like which sharps and flats are in each major or minor key pretty quickly, but I found that combining these two things in an exercise like this is kind of a unique challenge that I find to be interesting. I guess if you're still somebody who's working on ear training, give this a shot, see what you think. And if you know any other ear training exercises that you find interesting and challenging, let me know. Just let me know in the comments.